My husband cheated, and I want a divorce. But my 8-year-old son begged me in tears. Please give Dad another chance. I want our family to stay together. My heart softened. So I endured the terrible marriage and made raising my son the focus of my life. When my son turned 18 and got into a prestigious university, the father and son had a heartfelt conversation over drinks at night. My husband reflected on his infidelity in the marriage, which had a negative impact on his son's growth. The son, however, said, "Dad, as a fellow man, I understand you. I've never blamed you. Mom is just making a big deal out of it. All these years struggling between love and family responsibilities. You've worked hard." I finally realized that I had raised an ungrateful wretch. That night, I turned on the gas and blew up the villa, taking both the father and son, who shared such a deep bond, along with myself. When I opened my eyes again, I had actually been reborn back to the time when my son was 8 years old, and I was about to get a divorce. My son's college acceptance letter arrived, and it was his father, Levi Chun, who brought it back for him. Along with it, he also brought back a bottle of wine. That evening, the father and son opened the new wine at the dinner table, pouring each other glasses and drinking together. I went to the kitchen to get the simmered chicken soup. As I came out, I heard Levi Chun say to our son, "Soyoung, over the years, I haven't fulfilled my responsibilities as a father very well, and my own emotional issues have had a negative impact on you. You getting into the best university is all thanks to your own hard work. I'm both proud and sorry." My footsteps paused as I was about to leave, and I stopped at the corner. I guessed that our son would refute Levi Chen's words and say that he got into university thanks to his mom. It was my day and night patient tutoring that gradually improved his grades. The next moment, however, I heard my son say, "Dad, as men, I understand you. I've never really blamed you. Mom is just making a big deal out of nothing. All these years struggling between love and family responsibilities. You've worked hard." Levi Chen was moved to the point of choking up. "I never thought you would understand me. Thank you, son." The son continued, "That beautiful aunt has waited for you all these years. It hasn't been easy for her. Now that I'm grown up, if you want a divorce to pursue love, I'll support you. Mom is always unkempt and getting older. She really isn't a good match for you." If I hadn't heard it with my own ears, I wouldn't have believed that the son I raised with my own hands could look down on me so much in his heart. Between me and the unfaithful Levi Chen, he actually sided more with Levi Chen. And by pretty auntie, does he mean the mistress Levi Chen has outside? When did they meet? I couldn't help but recall when my son was 8 years old. The first time I discovered Levi Chen was cheating. That very day, I found our marriage certificate and tried to drag Levi Chen to get a divorce. Back then, I was young, beautiful, and proud, unable to tolerate even the slightest flaw in my eyes. But my son overheard our argument, and with tears in his eyes, he rushed out of his room, hugged my leg and begged me, "Mom, I know Dad did something wrong, but could you give him another chance? I want Mom and Dad to be together. I don't want you to separate." I looked down at his frightened, tear-filled eyes and couldn't help but soften. All these years, I have devoted myself wholeheartedly to raising my son. I hoped he would grow up to be kind and outstanding, not despicable like his father. But what about him now? He supports Levi Chen's pursuit of love through divorce, despite the infidelity in the marriage. I never thought about being a full-time homemaker to take care of him until adulthood. But after getting divorced, how would I, who had already lost touch with society, manage? He said the other woman had it hard, but he never considered how difficult my life had been. He also said I was unkempt. But from the moment I opened my eyes to the moment I closed them, my life revolved around him. When did I have time to groom and dress up? I used to not believe it when people said sons don't empathize with their mothers. Now I believe it. All these years I've sacrificed and devoted myself only to raise an ungrateful wretch. A profound sense of despair enveloped my heart. I carried the soup bowl back to the kitchen counter, took out the sleeping pill bottle I always carried with me, and poured the remaining half bottle of pills into the soup. Over the years, I have been trapped in a terrible marriage, enduring Levi Chen's infidelity, and have developed some psychological issues. I suffer from insomnia all night, and during emotional breakdowns. I even cry until dawn. But my son still needs me to take care of him. So I cannot let myself fall apart. That's why I always keep sleeping pills and sedatives on hand, so I can always be an emotionally stable, gentle, and patient mother in front of my son. As I carried out the drugged chicken soup, I deliberately said loudly, "The chicken soup is here. It's best to drink it while it's hot." The father and son who were drinking and chatting in the living room fell silent at the same time. They exchanged a smile as if they had reached some kind of agreement. At that moment, I clearly felt that I was being excluded by them. I felt as if my soul had detached and was floating in midair, watching myself smile as I served soup to my husband and son, watching them drink it. After they washed up and went to bed, I sat alone in the kitchen for half the night. The gas pipe was also left on for half the night. The alarm system was turned off by me, and the entire house was enveloped in silence. The unwillingness and anger in my heart churned more and more intensely. The desire to destroy everything was simply uncontrollable. Finally, I picked up the lighter and gently lit it. After a faint rustling sound came an ear-splitting explosion. Levi Chun and his son, who were fast asleep, along with myself, were all consumed in the flames. Before losing consciousness, I thought, thank goodness for the newly renovated detached villa of Levi Chun so that I wouldn't involve anyone else. I never expected to be reborn after death. Returning to the year I first discovered Levi Chun's infidelity, memories of the past came flooding back. This should be the time when I was just persuaded by my son to agree not to divorce. Walking out of the room, the house was empty with no one around. My son went to his grandparents' house for the summer vacation. Levi Chun is probably sneaking around to find a mistress again. I sit in this house that my parents bought for us when we got married, reminiscing about my painful and absurd past life. Since fate has given me a second chance, this time I will live for myself. I sent the news of wanting to divorce Levi Chun to the Chun family group chat. Also sent along were the unsightly chat records between Levi Chun and his mistress. In my previous life, I had also kept evidence of Levi Chun's infidelity. Later, my son used the excuse of playing with my phone, and when I got it back, all the things I had saved were gone. I thought he was afraid that I would divorce his father. Now that I think about it, he was just trying to protect his cheating father. When Levi Chun rushed back, he brought his son along with him. As soon as he entered the door, Levi Chun yelled at me, "Isn't everything over already? Why are you acting crazy now? How do you expect me and Xiaoyang to face others after this?" His words made it sound like his affair was somehow my fault. But when I glanced over, I said, "My son." "No, he's just Levi Chun's son." Chen Yang nodded in agreement. "He, just like his father, thinks it's my fault." I mocked Levi Chun. "All I did was inform the family about what you did. If you're ashamed, then you should control yourself. You want to do shameful things but don't want anyone to talk about it. Is there such a good deal in the world?" Levi Chun's face turned red, and he pointed at me for a long time without being able to say a word. Chen Yang actually stood in front of his father to defend him. He accused me. "Mom, you clearly promised me you wouldn't divorce. Dad, you broke your word. I'm going to dislike you now." Even though Levi Chun was clearly the one at fault, he ended up disliking me first. So, it wasn't that he suddenly started siding with his father only after he became an adult. At this moment, he had already aligned himself with his father. I said, "Yes, I've changed my mind. I am definitely getting a divorce. I can't stand living with a cheating man. Just looking at him disgusts me. In my previous life, I suppressed my feelings and endured so much that I developed a severe psychological illness. In this life, I will not repeat the same mistakes." Seeing my resolute attitude, he lost his usual gentleness and indulgence. Chen Yang was a bit angry, snorted, and said, "Isn't it just cheating? Many of my classmates' fathers cheat. It's a sign of their ability and capability." Where did he learn such twisted logic? In a fit of anger, I slapped Chen Yang's indifferent face. "Who taught you to say such things? Utterly shameless." Combining both this life and the last, this was the first time I had ever laid a hand on Chen Yang. He covered his face and looked at me in disbelief, his eyes instantly welling up with tears. Levi Chun rushed over and hugged him in his arms, glaring at me and saying, "You're really crazy, woman. Can't you talk things out properly? Why hit the child?" He's always been like this. I take care of Chen daily life and worry about his studies until I'm half dead. And he never shares the burden. He only jumps in to play the good guy when I'm being strict with Chen education. Even so, Chen still thinks he's better than me. Stop arguing with me about trivial matters. I want a divorce. If you don't agree, I'll take it to court. I have plenty of evidence of your infidelity anyway. Levi Chen stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Chen was still sobbing and crying. Seeing that I hadn't comforted him as I used to, he wiped away his tears himself and sat down beside me, asking, "Mom, why did you get a divorce? You could have stayed at home and enjoyed a comfortable life without working if you had stayed with Dad. Aren't you satisfied with that?" I glanced at him and said, "Enjoy a comfortable life? Do you mean that getting up the earliest and going to bed the latest every day is enjoying a comfortable life? I have to get up before dawn every day to make breakfast for the whole family. After sending Chen to school, I have to come back to clean up the house. After school, I help him with his homework and take him out to play. At night, after he falls asleep, I have to clean up the toys he's scattered all over the floor before I can finally go wash up. And he calls this a life of ease." After I detailed all my hardships, Chen said, "You could hire a nanny. Dad has the money anyway. It's not that we haven't hired a nanny before. It's just that he couldn't get used to the food she cooked and refused to let her take him out. There was no other way. So, I had to do everything myself. But I'm too lazy to talk to him about it anymore. An ungrateful wretch. No matter how much I say, he'll never think well of me." Seeing me silent, Chen added, "That aunt. Dad introduced me to her. She's gentle and beautiful. She cares a lot about me and buys me whatever I want. Only because you're my mom, I'm on your side and don't want you to divorce. A man as outstanding as Dad. If you don't want him, plenty of others are waiting to marry him." So he had already met the woman Levi Chen was seeing outside the family. Not only does he not hate the woman who destroyed our family, but he even praises her for being gentle and beautiful. I couldn't even muster a cold smile at the corner of my mouth as I looked at him and said, "How did I not notice it earlier? Your personality is exactly the same as your father's. The father and son are equally despicable and shameless." Chen didn't catch the sarcasm in my words. When I said he was just like his father, he proudly lifted his head and said to me, "If you get a divorce, I would definitely choose Dad over you. Would you really be willing to let me go?" In my past life, he used my maternal love for him to emotionally blackmail me, trapping me in a disgusting marriage with no way out. Then he naturally enjoys my wholehearted devotion to him only to end up empathizing with his father. I said coldly, "Not only am I willing to let you go, I wish I had never given birth to you." Does he really think Levi Chen is good to him? Once the mistress enters the house, a stepmother will bring a stepfather. I'd like to see if he, having grown up being ignored and cold-shouldered by Levi Chen, can still say things like, "I understand you. We're both men." My divorce from Levi Chen didn't drag on for long. After I threatened to send the evidence of his affair to his company group chat, he finally gave in. I knew what he was worried about. He wanted to start a business back then but had no startup capital. I emptied my savings of many years and sold the 2 apartments my parents left me to raise several million for him. Now that the company has grown and his net worth has multiplied, he's afraid I'll claim a share of the company's stock. Chen thinks I'm just a housewife living off Levi Chen, so he idolizes his father and looks down on me. But I earn more than Levi Chen when I work because he was a high-needs baby as a child and could cry all day without his parents. In the end, it was only after repeated persuasion from Levi Chen and my in-laws that I agreed to resign and focus on taking care of the child. At that time, Levi Chen held me and promised, "I will work hard for you and the baby. You can just stay at home with peace of mind, and I will make sure both of you live a good life." Now that I think about it, a man's promises are worthless. Only money in your own hands is truly reliable. When it comes to the division of property, I don't want Levi Chen's company shares, but all the movable and immovable assets under my name must go to me. Levi Chen gritted his teeth and agreed. As expected, Chen chose to follow his father, just as he had said. On the day the procedures were completed, I packed up all his things and threw them to Levi Chen. Take your things and get out. Leave my house. Levi Chen looked at me coldly and said, "You'll regret this. Instead of enjoying a comfortable life as a wealthy wife once you've squandered all your money, don't come crawling back to me." I spat at him. "Have you forgotten who helped build the company? My abilities have always been superior to yours. You're nothing but a useless phoenix man who rose to success by relying on a woman. Get out of here now." He really doesn't know his place after achieving a little success. I remember when Levi Chun and I were just discussing marriage. He was a penniless young man who had just graduated and started working. Both my parents are university professors and have saved up several properties in the city as my dowry. The first time I brought him home, my parents were completely against us being together. They believed that a woman marrying beneath her station would lead to a hard life. But I was so infatuated with his gentleness, thoughtfulness, and ambition that I lost my head over love. I told my family, "You don't understand him. He treats me very well." My father sighed and said, "I may not understand him, but I understand men. That boy doesn't seem sincere." In the end, my parents couldn't hold out any longer and agreed to my marriage with Levi Chun. Later, they both passed away one after another due to illness when they couldn't see. I truly suffered a lot and endured many hardships because of Levi Chun. After living alone, I started working overtime to study industry trends and business information. The reason I didn't want Levi Chen's company shares was that I was holding back a surge of anger. I wanted to destroy the career he takes pride in. Why did he start his business relying on me only to trample my self-esteem underfoot after achieving success? He openly keeps a mistress outside while demanding that I serve him like a maid at home. Just as I was preparing to start a company to compete with Levi Chen, he brought his mistress into our home. Through the photos sent by Chen Yang, I finally got a clear look at Shuang's appearance. This girl, who is 12 years younger than Levi Chen, is wearing a high-end wedding dress adorned with jewels, looking youthful and beautiful. Chen Yang called and asked me, "Mom, have you seen the photos I sent? You're nowhere near as good as Aunt Shuyang. No wonder Dad chose her over you." I was so angry, I almost laughed, and without considering that he was just a child, I started scolding him directly. "Don't call me Mom anymore. Since you like that woman so much, you can call her Mom from now on. And remember, it wasn't your father who left me. You and your father, one a little bastard, the other an old bastard, are both trash." I threw out the door after cursing me out. I hung up the phone and blocked Chen Yang's contact information. I didn't hear from Chen Yang again until a year later. Shuang gave birth to a son for Levi Chun after marriage, and he adored him immensely. So when Xiang mentioned that Chen Yang's noise at home was disturbing her and the baby's rest, Levi Chen immediately decided to send Chen Yang to a boarding school. He could only come home for 2 days a month. Chen Yang began to realize that his stepmother's previous kindness to him had all been an act. It was just a tactic to win over his father and get ahead. He changed his number midway and called me, crying and pouring out his grievances over the phone. "Mom, Dad sent me to boarding school for his new wife and new son. Can you come pick me up when I'm not needed?" He complained that I'm unkempt and not as presentable as the younger mistress. He wants to be with his mom. "Now that you're at a disadvantage." "You remember me," I sneered. "Didn't you already disown me as your mother? You chose this path yourself, so just live with it." Chen Yang retorted, "Grandma and Grandpa were right. You're a selfish, wicked woman who doesn't even care about her own child. I hate you to death." He couldn't even talk for 3 sentences without spewing nonsense at me. So, I hung up the phone directly. Chen Yang hasn't contacted me again, and I can't be bothered to keep up with his news. My company is already up and running, and I'm busy making plans and attracting clients. I'm actually quite good at handling these tasks. During the early stages of Levi Chen's entrepreneurship, I spent late nights revising and optimizing his company's tender documents word by word, all while taking care of my child. The clients he initially worked with were also ones I shamelessly called and brought in one by one. At that time, I had to take care of the children while also supporting his career, which was actually very tiring and hard. But just thinking that this was a joint effort for our little family, I never complained. So Levi Chen doesn't remember any of my contributions at all. 6 months later, I snatched the first big deal from Levi Chen's company. The manager in charge of this project at Levi-Chen was Xu Yang's alcoholic uncle, who made the client wait for 3 hours due to a drunk driving accident. The person who was pushed out of his position by Xu Yang's uncle was my college classmate, Qin Yuan. When Levi-Chen was starting out, he didn't have many capable people under him. I was the one who introduced the talent to him. Qin Yuan probably never expected that after all these years working for the boss, he would be pushed out of his position by someone with connections. I comforted him. Don't be upset. Work hard with me, and sooner or later, Levi-Chen will have to bow down to us. Qin Yuan raised his glass to me. I believe you, boss. While Levi-Chen's company was being filled with one person after another through connections at Xu Yang's request, my company was growing bigger and bigger. In just 5 years, we had taken over the majority of Levi-Chen's company's clients. Now he can only take on the small orders that our company refuses. By chance, we met again at a business cocktail party. He looked somewhat haggard over the past 2 years. He must have been overwhelmed dealing with the mess caused by his connections. Xu Yang, who was by his side holding his arm, still looked radiant and glamorous. At the same time I saw them, they also noticed me. Xu Yang tightened her hold on Levi-Chen's arm, and the two of them walked toward me together. Oh, how did this party let in every Tom, Dick and Harry? As she approached, Xu Yang looked me up and down, and began to speak sarcastically. Qin Yuan, who was my escort for the evening, was about to speak up for me when someone suddenly asked, "Who is the person in charge of Zine Company?" Upon hearing this, Qin Yuan told me he would go talk to someone first, and asked me not to pay attention to these two clowns. I nodded in agreement. After he walked away, Levi-Chen spoke to me with a complicated expression. Is Renewal Company his? So he's the one who took away more than half of our clients. He probably regretted firing such a capable subordinate like Qin Yuan, all because of Shuren's alcoholic uncle. I didn't explain, and turned to go to the other side. But Shuren's words made me extremely uncomfortable. She said, "So some people have latched on to your former subordinate. No wonder someone of her status managed to sneak into this place." I couldn't understand why. As the woman who once interfered in my marriage, she didn't even try to avoid me. How dare she still have the face to provoke and mock me with every word and sentence? I stopped, turned around, and directly splashed the red wine in my hand onto Shuen's face. Not everyone is as shameless as you, enjoying being the other woman and clinging to the rich. Xu Yang, unable to dodge in time, closed her eyes and let out a scream. What are you doing, you woman? Honey, help me deal with her. Our commotion quickly drew the attention of the people around us. The host of today's cocktail party also came over. Seeing someone approaching, Levi-Chen put his arm around Xu Yang and pointed at me, saying to the host, "This woman is causing trouble at the party. Mr. Lin, call security to have her removed immediately." Unexpectedly, Mr. Lin's gaze lingered on my face for a moment before he said, "Chairman of Zine Corporation, I have a collaboration I'd like to discuss with you. Would you have some time later?" As soon as he said this, both Levi-Chen and Shuen's expressions twisted for an instant. I said with some displeasure, "These two were just surrounding me and yelling. I wonder how you plan to handle this, Mr." Lin looked at Levi-Chen and Xu Yang, pondered for a moment, and said, "It seems the two of you are not on today's guest list. I'm sorry, but please leave immediately." So, it turns out they were the ones who had snuck in using someone else's invitation. I couldn't help but let out a scornful laugh. My laughter made Levi-Chen and Xu Yang turn pale, and then flush with anger. After the unwelcome people were driven away, I went with President Lin to the elegant room on the second floor to discuss matters. Qin Yuan wanted to follow me, but President Lin stopped him. "I'd like to speak with President alone. Could you wait outside for a moment?" Qin Yuan looked at me and only stopped outside after seeing me nod. After entering the room and taking a seat, President Lin didn't discuss business matters. Instead, his first words were, "Long time no see, Xiaoyi." I looked at President Lin's mature and handsome face. Unable to recall when I had met this person, seeing my puzzled expression, he introduced himself to me in Mandarin with a local accent. "My name is Lin Yongkai, a student your father sponsored." I suddenly remembered that when I was in high school, there was often a brother who came to our house for meals. That brother wore shabby clothes, had long bangs, and always kept his head down timidly, avoiding eye contact. He spoke with a thick accent, and sometimes I could barely understand what he said. When I went to college in another city, he gave me a hand-carved wooden rabbit as a farewell gift. After that, we never saw each other again. It's no wonder I didn't recognize him. He looks completely different now. Do you recognize me now? I blinked and said with a smile. I do. The last time I saw you, I was only 18, and now I'm already 38. In the blink of an eye. Lin Yongkai chuckled softly. I'm 3 years older than you. In my eyes, you're still a little sister. We talked about my parents and then about our experiences over the years. Finally, relying on our past friendship, I negotiated a deal with Lin Yongkai to become the largest supplier for their company. When I said goodbye to Lin Yongkai and stepped out, my footsteps felt somewhat unsteady. Qin Yuan, noticing my barely contained excitement, asked me, "Did it go well?" I couldn't hold back my smile. More than well. Do you know who that person is? I know. The new business magnate Lin Yongkai, who founded the Linen Group from scratch, all on his own. He's the real deal, Qin Yuan said, giving a thumbs up. He was a student my father sponsored. I just mustered the courage to ask to become a supplier for his company, and he agreed with the Linen Group supplier label. Our company is about to level up. Qin Yuan seemed even more excited than I was. Does that mean I can get a promotion and a raise? I made the decision. Your position is already second only to mine, so you can't take over, but a raise is possible. Isn't your wife obsessed with buying bags lately? Let her go ahead and buy as many as she wants. I never expected Levi Chen to have the nerve to contact me after the party. On the phone, he spoke in a deep tone. Xiao Yi, all these years since the divorce, I've been thinking about how you've been doing. I'm relieved to see you're doing well. I replied impatiently. Get to the point. If you want me to go easy on your company and give it a way out, at least show some humility. I have nothing to reminisce about with a cheating scumbag like you. Levi Chen fell silent for a moment. I heard his breathing grow heavier, probably because my words had angered him. Yet he had to force himself to suppress it. I heard him force a laugh and say, "Hey, don't you know my abilities? I've just been in a slump the past few years. Do you really think you can outdo me?" Of course I knew. His abilities were average, and he was easily swayed by others. Over the years, under Xu Yang's catchy and cute antics, several management members were replaced by Xu family connections. Even if I hadn't deliberately taken business away, his company would have been ruined sooner or later. If you called to spout this nonsense, you can hang up now. I'm very busy with work, unlike you who has little business to discuss and plenty of free time. My sarcastic remarks shattered Levi Chen's friendly facade, and he retorted mockingly. Aren't you also successful because of men? Do you really think of yourself as a strong, independent woman? When men succeed, it's because they're capable and skilled. But when women succeed, it's because of connections and men. After all these years, you're still so narrow-minded and ignorant. You'd better watch your tone around me, or I won't even leave you with small deals. Do you think I chose to start a business in the same industry as you for no reason? Levi Chen said bitterly. I knew you were deliberately getting back at me. My company's poor performance is all because you've been secretly sabotaging me. I interrupted him. No, you are where you are today because you're incompetent. You're useless. After saying that, I hung up the phone. He is no longer worth my time to communicate with. After Levi Chen contacted me, Chen Yang also came to find me. He probably heard about me from Levi Chen, so he came to my company and waited downstairs of the building. I saw him at a glance when I came to work in the morning. The almost 14-year-old boy had no vitality, with overly long hair. He appeared gloomy and depressed overall. There was no trace of the sunny demeanor that used to greet everyone with a smile in his previous life. Seeing me, Chen Yang hesitated for a moment, as if he didn't quite dare to recognize me. I am different now from how he remembered me. No longer the rough mother who revolved around him and had no time to dress up. I was wearing haute couture with a full face of exquisite makeup. The employees passing by would lower their heads and call me president. After hesitating for a moment, Chen Yang still came up to me and called out in a low voice, "Mom." Noticing the subtle curious glances from the employees around us, I said to Chen Yang, "If there's something, come upstairs with me to talk." Only after bringing Chen Yang to the office and sitting down did I notice that he was injured. There was a red slap mark on the left side of his face. The corner of his mouth was bleeding from broken skin. There were also scrapes on his exposed arm. I frowned. "Did you get into a fight with someone?" Chen Yang looked up at me, and I could see the resentment in his eyes. "No, it was my dad. He hit me because he said I have a good mom." I was a bit surprised. Has Levi Chen really sunk to this level? He can't compete with me in business, so he takes it out on a child. But Chen Yang said he doesn't just hit me today. That woman, Xu Yang, is vicious. If anything happens at school, she tells my dad and eggs him on to hit me. Look at the bruises on me. Chen Yang lifted his clothes, and I saw scars from healed wounds on his chest and back, as well as fresh bruises that had just been inflicted on his thin and frail frame. It looked rather shocking indeed. Having a stepmother often means gaining a stepfather. Back when we were still married, Levi Chen had never even raised his voice at Chen Yang. I was at a loss for words for a moment, then said, "After a while, if he hits you, go tell your grandparents." But Chen Yang started blaming me. "My grandparents don't care about him at all. Why didn't you take me with you when you got divorced? All these years you abandoned me to that despicable couple to torment me. Doesn't your conscience bother you?" All the hardships over the years still haven't changed his selfish nature. I looked at Chen Yang coldly and asked him, "Do I need to remind you it was you who desperately insisted on following your cheating father? And it was you who shamelessly wanted to acknowledge the mistress as your mother?" Chen Yang stubbornly argued. "I was young and didn't know any better back then." Before he could finish his sentence, the office door opened and Lin Yongkai walked in. "Xiao Yi, have you had breakfast? I brought some for you." Upon seeing Chen Yang, he paused and asked me, "Who is this?" I told him, "I have a son with my ex-husband and this is him." Chen Yang looked at Lin Yongkai with hostility, blocking my way as he asked, "Who are you? What's your relationship with my mom?" Lin Yongkai smiled gently. "I'm your mom's boyfriend." As soon as Lin Yongkai finished speaking, Chen Yang lost control of his emotions. He turned around and swept everything off my desk, shouting at me angrily, "Do you have a boyfriend? My dad finding me a stepmom is one thing, but are you going to find me a stepdad too? Have you no shame? At your age, what are you even doing looking for a man?" I stood up and slapped Chen Yang across the face. "Just try saying one more word," Chen Yang cried, holding the side of his face that I had slapped. He looked at me with grievance and resentment. Did I say something wrong? An old woman like you still trying to learn how to date others? How disgusting. Aren't you going to give me a little brother or sister in a while? I don't agree. If you have one, I'll strangle it. I was so angry that I trembled all over. He was having a hard time living with Levi Chen, filled with misery. He didn't dare to stand up to his own father, yet had the nerve to vent his accumulated resentment at me. Why should I be scolded like this by him? Closing my eyes, I suppressed the urge to kill and asked Chen Yang, "I'm single and dating normally, yet you talk about me as if I should be drowned in a pig cage when your father cheated while married. Why did you act like nothing happened? Should the chastity arch only be imposed on women? You disgust me even more than your father." Lin Yongkai stepped forward to stop me and said to Chen Yang, "Although not hitting children is my principle, if you dare to speak disrespectfully to my girlfriend again, I can break that principle." Chen Yang pointed at me and Lin Yongkai, wanting to say something insulting. But considering Lin Yongkai's earlier threat, he held back and kept quiet. After a tense standoff, he said, "I need money. My dad often cuts off my living expenses, and I can't even eat enough at school. I don't want to go home anymore. Give me money so I can become independent." So this was the real reason he came today, disappointed to the extreme. I actually felt a strange sense of calm. I asked how much. Chen Yang lifted his eyelids to look at me. "I want 5 million. Did Levi Chen send you to ask me for money? Demanding 5 million right off the bat. Is his company so unsustainable now that he has to rely on you begging me to survive?" Chen Yang didn't deny it. He stiffened his neck, looking completely justified. Dad said, You have a duty to support me anyway. The money is what you owe. And it's not like you're short on cash right now. I couldn't help but laugh. You're really shameless. Even after being beaten and abused by your dad, you're still willing to help him swindle money from me. Chen Yang pursed his lips and frowned, retorting, Dad said he was just deceived by that woman, Xu Yang. Once I get the money from you to help him with his company's cash flow, he'll kick out the child he had with Xu Yang. From then on he'll only love me. What a fool. How could Levi Chen bear to drive Xu Yang away? It's just a line to deceive him. I took a card out of my bag and tossed it to Chen Yang. I don't have 5 million, but here's 3 million. Take it and get lost. From now on we're even. Anyway, you stopped recognizing me as your mother long ago. From today on, I won't recognize you as my son either. If you dare disturb me again, I'll have security break your legs. Chen Yang took the card and left, saying before he went, as expected, I was right to side with Dad back then. A cold, heartless woman like you doesn't deserve to be my mother. Only after Chen Yang left did Lin Yongkai say, you shouldn't have given him money. How could your ex-husband possibly drive away his wife and children for him? I smiled without saying a word. I deliberately gave Chen Yang the money. He still clings to that false sense of paternal love from Levi Chen. After Levi Chen got the money, he knew he was still the one being abandoned. Levi Chen would never drive away his young, beautiful wife and his beloved youngest son for his sake. Just as I expected, after Chen Yang brought the money home and handed it to Levi Chen, he not only didn't receive any praise from his father, he was also pinned to the ground and beaten again. Since the company's business took a sharp downturn, Levi Chen's temper has been getting worse and worse. Beating and scolding Chen Yang became his best way to vent his frustration. Fists rained down on Chen Yang's head. Worthless thing. I told you to get 5 million, but you only brought back 3 million. This isn't nearly enough to cover the company's shortfall. Xu Yang was also watching with Chardin Fred on the side, occasionally adding fuel to the fire. I think he's just siding with his biological mother, deliberately wanting to see you go bankrupt, wanting to see you kneel before her and beg for a way out. Chen Yang struggled to defend himself. It was clearly you who forced a bunch of useless relatives into the company and caused Dad to go bankrupt. You and your son should both get out of my house, Shuang scolded. You little beast. How dare you talk back, honey? He actually dared to insult me and our son. You really need to discipline him properly. Levi Chen struck Chen Yang with even greater force. As Chen Yang was being pummeled by Levi Chen to the point of a splitting headache, fragmented memories suddenly surfaced in his mind. In those memories, he grew up carefree under my full care and support. In the end, he even got admitted to the top-ranked university. In my memory, he was never scolded or beaten. Always cheerful and excelling in his studies, praised by everyone he met. There was not a trace of the gloomy and despondent demeanor he has now. Levi Chen, exhausted from the beating, got up and went to the study to find the debt contract, planning to use the money he had obtained to cover the deficit. Xu Yang also returned to her room, closed the door, and went to play with the child. While Chen Yang lay alone on the ground, his entire body trembling with pain, memories from his past and present life intertwined in his mind, making it hard for him to distinguish reality. He could only fumble for his phone and call me. He told me about Levi Chen's violent assault on him and the extra memories that had surfaced in his mind, with tears streaming down. He asked me, that was the life that should have been mine. Right, Mom? My hand trembled as I held the phone. I never expected Chen Yang to regain memories from his past life. I finally had the chance to ask this son who had betrayed over a decade of my care and upbringing. Where exactly did I fail you that you would join your father in trampling all over me? Chen Yang choked up and said, so, you gave up on me because you have memories from your past life. Is that it? I'm sorry. Dad was never a good person. It was me who was ungrateful and hurt your feelings. I said it wrong. It's not that you're not worthy of being my mother. It's that I'm not worthy of being your son. I closed my eyes, forcing the tears back. It's good that you remember. Don't contact me again from now on. In this lifetime, I'm not your mother. I live only for myself. Chen Yang was silent for a moment on the other end, then softly murmured in agreement. Don't worry, I won't disturb you again, and Dad won't be in your way anymore. Chen Yang hung up the phone. But the more I thought about it, the more I felt there was something off about his tone at the end. Seeing how restless I was, Lin Yongkai took me to file a police report. Let the police check it out. Levi Chen's domestic violence against the child should be dealt with. The police arrived too late. After finishing the call with me, Chen Yang went to the kitchen and grabbed a kitchen knife. Levi Chen, who had not expected him to resist, was hacked to death at the study room door. Xu Yang was hacked down onto the floor of the room. His few-year-old younger brother held on to their mother's bloodied and mangled body, wailing uncontrollably. And as the police arrived, he climbed to the rooftop and leaped off. An overly young life thus ended like a crimson flower. One after this incident, I restarted my life in this lifetime. After the entire Levi Chen family passed away, the company was in a mess under the management of those incompetent relatives. I spent a bit of pocket money to acquire the company and revitalized its management. Later, Lin Yongkai and I held a grand wedding and welcomed a lovely daughter. As for those unpleasant people and things, I've thrown them all away.